Hi everyone, it's Alistair from Pins Across the World, and today I'm going to be talking about pin trading in the Disney parks. So pin trading is a fun activity that you can do at both the Disneyland Park out in California, Disney World at Florida, and also at Disneyland Paris and some of the other parks around the world. The idea being that you can collect these Disney trading pins that you purchase from either the Disney parks, the Disney store, or Disney outlets. And because some of them come in sets, you would then be able to trade those pins with other guests as well as with cast members in the parks. Over the years, Disney have slowly started to not advertise it as much. It is still possible to trade with cast members in the parks, and you will find cast members with the pin trading lanyards on, as well as in most merchandise locations they have either a book or they have a pin board which has pins on it that you can trade for your own pins. If you're wanting to trade with a cast member or in one of these merchandise locations, there are a few simple rules that you need to follow. Basically, your pin has to say copyright Disney on the back of it. If it doesn't say copyright Disney, they're not allowed to accept it for pin trading. You are technically not allowed to trade a pin from your collection if they already have that pin on their lanyard or the board at the merchandise location. So if the pin's already there, they're not supposed to trade with you for that pin. You have to choose a different pin to trade. And you're only supposed to trade 2 pins per cast member per day. Now you can also trade with other guests in the park. The only rule that exists in this circumstance is that you're not allowed to trade money for pins within Disney property. So if you see other guests within the parks and you want to do trading with them, you can go up to them, ask them if they want to trade with you or if you can see their pins, and you can trade with them. But be aware that they are perfectly entitled to say no. They don't have to trade with you, and a lot of guests in the parks are wearing their pins because they want to show them off. They're not actually wearing them to trade with you. So where do we get our pins from? So ideally, Disney would love you to purchase them from their parks, but an individual pin, something the size of this for instance, will cost $4 or $5, and they can range anywhere up to $30 odd for some of the limited edition ones in the parks, and even more for some of the very limited edition pins. So it doesn't take much maths to work out that pin trading can be extremely expensive, especially if you have children and it's the kids that want to do it. So what you can do is you can get pins from other locations. The first thing I'm going to say is where to not get them from. So if you were to go onto eBay and type in Disney pins, you'll find lots of auctions or listings come up for Disney pin lots. It'll either be 25, 30 or 50 pins, and these generally range in price from £10 to £15 up into about £30 including delivery, or whatever that is in dollars if you're in the US. The first thing I'm going to say is do not buy any of these pin lots. They are all fake or counterfeit pins. Actually, counterfeit and fake are the same word. They are all either counterfeit pins or they're what are called scrappers, which were pins that failed Disney's quality process and were basically supposed to be destroyed. You only have to have a quick look through the number of these listings and realise that there's no way that most genuine sellers would have this many of those pins, and there's no way, given the price of the Disney pins, that anyone could realistically sell genuine pins for these prices. So you might have been like I was 2 years ago, I think it was, 2 or 3 years ago, and think, okay, even if the bulk of them are fake, there might be 1 or 2 genuine pins in there. So I, 2 or 3 years ago, bought one of these lots. I think it was 25 pins and it cost me something like £12.50. So I can say that every single pin was a fake pin that came. And only after then digging into it in a bit more detail afterwards, it became clear that, yeah, they're all fake pins. None of these people are selling genuine pins. So what happens when you buy these? Well, you'll receive them in a jiffy bag like this. The first indication when you open it that they're definitely fake pins are that they all arrive in these little bags with the little red line at the top. These are how they ship from the factories over in China or wherever they've been manufactured. And basically the seller has gone on, purchased a shitload of these pins and is then flogging them off to unsuspecting buyers around the world. They use languages such as scrappers, as I mentioned earlier, or tradable pins, or guaranteed tradable pins. The reason they can get away with saying that they're tradable pins is if you take these to the park, because they are fake pins, they also have Copyright Disney on the back of them. So any cast member in the park, if you go to trade with them, will probably accept the pin. Very few cast members will decline it. I know when I worked for Disney Cruise Line and we did officer pin trading, our only restriction was the pin had to say Copyright Disney on the back of it. If it said that, we had to accept it. And because they are not the cast members' own personal pins, they're not too bothered about them being fake. The downside to this though is that because there's so many of these in circulation, so many people are purchasing them, just have a look at any of these sellers and you'll see they've sold hundreds of lots of 25 or 50 pins. They all end up getting into the parks, which means they all end up on cast members' lanyards. So when you go to do the trading, there is a high probability, I'm going to say 99% chance, that the pin that you are trading for is a fake pin. The other downside to these is that although there are millions of Disney official pins, there is a relatively small number of pins that have been faked. So there might be a few thousand fake pins, whereas there's millions of genuine pins. So because of that, you often end up with the same design or the same pins on multiple cast members' lanyards and throughout the parks. So if you are doing pin trading in the parks, you'll probably become aware that a lot of the trading locations have the same pins, which kind of ruins the fun. Now, if you're doing it for your kids to go pin trading stuff, you might not be too bothered that they're fake and that they're giving away fake pins for other fake pins. But the problem then comes in that if you've gone and bought genuine pins and your kids have genuine pins or you have genuine pins and you see a pin that you really like and you trade for it, you'll be very disappointed if you then find out later down the line that it's worthless and it's a fake pin. So what I'm going to say is please do not purchase these fake pins from either eBay, Amazon or Etsy. I'll put a link down in the description below to a girl called Emily who does a very good video on how to spot fake pins. I'm by no means an expert, I know some of the common tips, but I'll put a link to her channel and her video specifically about spotting fake pins. She also does do some advice on buying from eBay if you decide to buy individual pins from there. But to sum up, do not buy from eBay because all you're going to get is a bunch of fake pins, which technically you can trade in the parks, but I haven't. What you could use them for though is you could use them to decorate photo frames or whatever around your house, or even cut the backs off them and make jewellery out of them, I guess, if you really wanted to. These ones I have are eventually going to find their way into the bin. They're certainly not going to get traded in the parks. So how can we get genuine pins for trading cheaply? So the official way is through Disney pin trading starter sets, or what are called booster packs. So within the parks and also at Shop Disney, you'll find starter sets which usually include a lanyard and consist of 4 or 5 pins, or booster sets which are usually 5 or 6 pins without a lanyard. These generally cost around $30 if I remember correctly. It's roughly that price if you're buying them in the parks, and it's pretty much around the same online. These are a good place to start, especially if you've not done it, because you get your lanyard as well and your little pin trading card that you can have as you're going around the parks. The sets are generally themed, so I know for certain there's definitely a Frozen set that's out there as a starter set, which has all the Frozen characters on it. So again, these are quite common pins you'll find in the parks, but at least they're genuine pins. But that's still quite expensive, especially if you've got 2 kids and you don't want, and they're then going to go and trade those pins away for fake pins in a park because they like the look of that pin. So the other way of getting these pins are if you pop into Target or Walmart, you'll find that they also have Disney pins. Now these are not official Disney pins, but they are Disney licensed pins. They will say copyright Disney on the back of them, and these are perfectly able to be traded in the parks. They are usually quite good quality, they're licensed from Disney, there's no problem trading them within the parks. This also opens up to a wide selection of additional pins. If you're from the UK, a top tip that I'm going to give you is to keep an eye on Primark. So if you go into Primark quite often, or even once a month, have a look, and quite often they have these sets of Disney pins. This happens to be Mickey 90th, and this is Lion King that I got, I think, a month ago. So for £3, you get 5 or 6 pins in the case of this. So again, much like I said for Walmart, they're not official Disney pins, but they are Disney licensed pins. They have copyright Disney on the back of them, and they're quite good quality, and you are perfectly entitled to trade them with cast members in the Disney parks. The one thing I will say about the Primark ones, especially, is that they have copper backing on them usually, so if you're trading with a cast member, you need to swap this for one of the rubber Mickey backings. Not that hard. If you're trading with someone and you don't have spare rubber ones, all you do is take this off your pin, put the Mickey one off the cast member's pin on it, and give it to the cast member. And then you put this on the pin you've got from the cast member. These are quite popular with Americans because they're only available in the UK, and quite a lot of them are quite sought after. So at the very least, you're introducing into the pin trading in the park pins that most people will not have seen before, or that they don't have access to get. Primark certainly don't do online shipping or shopping, and there's a few sellers on eBay that flog them for much inflated prices. So if you are over in America, it's a great way to do trading very cheaply. Just keep an eye on them because they're not always stocked. They are random what sets they have, and they are a nightmare to find within the stores. Usually they're located next to earrings and bangles and stuff, wherever that happens to be in your store. But I've also found them near the checkouts. So it depends where your store is, you just have to get used to where they put them. I would say ask someone, but they have no clue where they are in the store. So just have a look around where all the bangles, the earrings are, and you'll probably come across them inside Primark. So the other way of getting these is a monthly subscription service. So there's a few of them out there. The only one that I personally have tried was Pin Trading Monthly, so I'll put a link to them below, but I'm in no way endorsing it. I do have some other videos about what we received in the boxes, so have a look at them if you're thinking of subscribing to this service. But if you live in the United States, this is probably one of the easiest way of getting Disney pins very cheaply. I can't guarantee you that those pins will be genuine pins because they're not officially from Disney, but certainly all the ones that I've received have been genuine pins as far as I can tell. So I'm fairly certain they do checks to make sure at least they're not obviously fake pins. So the specific one that I tried out was the Pin Trading Monthly Deluxe package, which costs $30 or $29.99 per month. And for this you get 10 pins. So that works out at $3 per pin. That is a very good deal for pin prices when you think about how much it costs you to get pins in the parks. Now, being a subscription service, while you might be guaranteed a specific type of pin or standard of pin, you're not guaranteed what pins you'll get. So you're going to end up with pins that you're not interested in. So this is a great way of getting pins fairly cheaply that you can then trade in the park, and at least they are genuine pins. There are other services out there, and even Pin Trading Monthly do have different levels. There's a slightly cheaper one, and there's a few more expensive ones. I'm obviously not in the United States. I'm currently in Scotland, where it's raining, which is why I've closed the blinds behind us. But if you are in the UK, these can still be a good deal. You've just got to work out how much you're willing to spend and if it's worth it for you. I have the videos that I've linked of the 2 boxes that I've received because I subscribed once to try it and then forgot to cancel it in time. But essentially, I worked out it cost me £50 in total, which includes the subscription, the $11 postage to the UK, and much like anything you get from the United States, it was immediately hit with customs charges because it's over the limit. So I then had to pay, I think it was £18 customs fees to get it delivered, plus Royal Mail's handling charge. So it was about £50 for 10 pins, so that is £5 per pin. It's not too bad a deal, considering some of the pins were very good pins, and it's a way of getting the pins, basically. You have to work out yourself whether that's going to be worthwhile, but I would certainly recommend that over buying pins as lots on eBay, because at least they are genuine pins. And you never know, you might get a pin in the box that you really like, as I did last time. Okay, so that's basically pin trading. There's one final thing I want to say before I end, and hopefully I can do this before the battery on my camera dies, because it is now flashing. I saw a girl that I linked earlier and mentioned earlier, Emily, has an Etsy shop called Desert Mouse Pin Shop, and she's created these amazing pin trading pins. So the idea behind these is that if guests want to trade their pins, it's a way to advertise it to other guests that are interested in the parks. So she created these quite nice pins. She has other ones where she's decorated them by hand with nail varnish and paint, basically saying, trade with me. So I'll put the link below to our shop if you want to go check it out and buy them. They were quite cheap. I think they were $8 each, and that maybe included postage, I'm not sure. And it's a brilliant idea, and hopefully it catches on. So I'm pretty sure her name was Emily. If I've got that wrong, I apologise, because her YouTube channel has a different name than what her actual name is. Okay, but I'll put the link below anyway. Okay, so thanks for watching. I hope this video has been informative to you. Please subscribe if you want to find out about our Disney travels. We're going to be over there in February, and we'll definitely be doing some pin trading while we're there. And until next time, bye!